Good evening. Let's begin here. This is, of course, news just in. Armed illegal miners have broken into Westvaal Hospital in Orkney in the northwest. For more on this, I'm joined now by Northwest Health MEC Madota Sambata. MEC, good evening, and thank you so much for your time tonight. What exactly is happening there?
What we have is a second break-in, because last week it did happen. And what you see as a break-in is almost a security threat in the belt of Vaal Reefs. Communities are tortured on a daily basis by these armed zamazamas. Last week when they did a break-in, they focused on everything that had copper, but they'd broken in on the side of the hospital that is not used. The department and police are working on improving and ensuring that there's proper security there, but these are armed gangs, which in most instances are even overpowering the security company that you have in the area.
So if you say that they then, overpowering the security that you have in that particular hospital, why then is that security there? Because you're saying that this happened again last week.
Remember, the hospital is a huge facility, and Department of Health is only operating on one wing. Which wing has enough security? What we then learned was that when we checked last week activity that they did, was that on the side where there's security, it's dark and it's easier for them to do all activities that are not needed there. That's why I'm saying police and Department of Health are ensuring that the whole facility is secured. We're also increasing security, but I can't divulge in public on how we're increasing, because this is a sophisticated gang of people who stay with the community and torture the same community.
What do they want?
Predominantly last week, they took everything on the side that was not used of the hospital, which was copper related. So the operation was almost to strip off the hospital of any copper or any metal that is used to be sold in secondary scraps that they could lay their hands on.
So does this look then that, like the police here don't have the situation under control, particularly if you say that this is sophisticated? They did it last week and they're back again this week. So it looks like it's becoming brazen. And does it then look like police have their handle on the situation?
I would prefer, if you were to help us, call on the Ministry of Police to intervene in the area, because the calls by the community around Vaal Reefs, Ward 21 in Matlosana particularly, and around Orkney on police intervention on this group of gangs of Zamazamas has been falling on deaf ears. If you check from they started with the stadium and they burned down the stadium. The hospital is now their second target, but their original target has been torturing the communities around.
And let's talk then about the situation currently at the hospital. Are they still there? Are they holding anyone hostage? And is anyone hurt?
As we speak of now, there's nobody who's hurt on the side of the operations of the hospital, because it's on the other side. What appears to be is that they're fighting over to take control of the side that is not used, which is our focus to ensure that none of that happens on taking control of a site, of a hospital, even if it's unused. And on Monday, we have a meeting with Harmony, which is the owner of the hospital, negotiating a full donation of the hospital to the Department of Health, so that we take over everything and protect it from taken up by the Zamazamas.
And you say that they as you say, they burnt a stadium. They started there and then they've now moved to the hospital in and itself. Are you then worried that this might, find itself with some ripple effects in other parts of the province, as you are the health MEC, that maybe some hospitals may then suffer the same fate?
As the Department of Health, I can confirm to you that we're really worried about the extent to which these gangs are running amok on our communities. Just adjacent there to the Westvaal Hospital, you have Grace Mukhomo Community Health Center. They are doing the same thing when they arrive there, wanting to be stitched from their gangs. They then end up forcing our healthcare workers to treat them at gunpoint. It's a matter that we think that police must be helped, given a specialized task team to focus on suppressing gangs so that our communities and our community operations like health centers are not taken over by gangs.
MEC, the situation you're describing right now is really one that is cause for concern. And I heard you earlier when you were saying that we need to now get the Ministry of Police involved in this particular matter. But how then does a gang, continue to terrorize the community like this without even as much as some of them being arrested? Do you suspect, as the health MEC or the health department, do you suspect that they may be getting some help here?
Yes, of course. If you're talking about Matlosana, you will remember the Deputy Minister of Police had to intervene in Joburg, where gangs themselves have taken up a township and gangs themselves have taken up an operation of a municipality on the basis of having them rented either by one group against another one. These gangs are not just honest gangs. These are gangs that in most instances around Matlosana do have either rogue units of business supporting them, and they are well resourced. That's why we're saying securities in health facilities will never succeed on dealing with them.
So are they still in the hospital currently as we speak, or are they gone?
As we speak currently, they are gone. But it means they each time plan far ahead of us. As we went there last week and planned to ensure that nothing of such status happens again, here they are again. That's why our formal request publicly is that the Ministry of Police must find a way of a tactical unit responsible to deal with Zamazamas. In actual fact, across the country, wherever there's mining activities or previous mining activities, these Zamazamas appear to have a strength above police.
And would you then say that it makes, the work of the police difficult, because there are some areas that are also not only, battling with gang-related issues surrounding Zamazamas, but there's also other communities that are battling, gang-related violence, where we've also been seeing the torching of houses in some of, the parts of your province there.
Yes, you are correct. One of the central elements in our province is that political anarchy has on its own stretched the response capacity of police, because instead of police expected to respond properly to criminal activities, they are expected to stretch their resources, limited as they are, to cover up for political anarchy and political funded activities that seek to disrupt peace and order. And that on its own is stretching the capacity of police in the province. That's why we're saying a specialized intervention to keep intact police response on what remains crime and check on these necessary elements where there must be intervention, like the Zamazamas in our province.
All right, MEC, thank you so much for your time. We certainly are going to be keeping track of the story, because it really boggles the mind, particularly what you've just described is going on in that particular area. around Orkney. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That's MEC for Health there in the Northwest, Madoda Sambata. We do understand that, the men were armed. They are believed to be illegal miners. They broke into the Westvaal Hospital. The MEC says that they went into a part of the hospital that is unused, and they're fighting to then, gain control of this particular part of the hospital that is not being used. But what is startling there is that these are the same men that, also have, according to the MEC, burnt down a stadium, who are then demanding to be helped at a local facility there that is right across the road from that particular hospital at gunpoint, as the MEC says. And then he also says then that, they were also there in this particular hospital last week, and they appear to be taking everything that is relating to copper, and they do want full control of this particular hospital, this particular spot that the MEC says is not being used. And even the MEC saying that it's time for a specialized intervention, because it looks like these gangs are well resourced and they're able to do and carry out the operations in a way that is quite sophisticated. We're going to be speaking to police as we are trying to just get a sense from them as to what exactly is going on there. Are they overstretched? Are they able to even cause a dent to these particular acts that have happened, and what exactly is going on? And you can see also on the side of your screen yet another breaking news story. We do understand there's a bomb threat at Sandton City. We're going to be speaking to police just to try and understand what's going on there, evacuation procedures, what happened, how did they even become aware of this particular scare at Sandton City Mall. We're going to be having that conversation as well in just a moment, and we'll also be speaking to Nelson Chamisa, who is of course standing by to talk to us just about the situation in Zimbabwe and looking at the latest developments around that legislation then that was passed by Parliament, to just basically scrapping the presidential running mate rule, and thus seemingly concentrating power into one office in that country.